Welcome to the lesson on electrical symbols and abbreviations. In this lesson, we will look at how electrical symbols, abbreviations, and switches are used in BEV manufacturing. Let us now look at our lesson objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to define a symbol. Next, you will be able to define a switch. Finally, you will be able to differentiate between a normally open switch and a normally closed switch. What are symbols? Symbols are graphic elements that are used to represent electrical components in electrical and electronic diagrams. A symbol represents a specific quantity, unit, or component within a diagram. Symbols appear in various types of diagrams, including wiring diagrams, schematic diagrams, and line diagrams. Alessandro Volta invented the first electric circuit in 1800. General notes, such as abbreviations, legends, and symbols, are typically located on the first page of an electrical print package. Schedules provide details about light fixtures, equipment, and load specifications. These details assist technicians in understanding the components and their arrangement. Electrical symbols play a critical role in BEV manufacturing. Technicians use these symbols to interpret wiring diagrams, ensuring the correct assembly and functionality of complex BEV systems such as battery packs, motor controllers, and regenerative braking circuits. This image displays common electrical symbols used in circuit diagrams to represent components and their functions. Each symbol has a specific purpose, making it easier to understand and design circuits. For example, switches, open or closed, control the flow of electricity, while resistors limit current. A cell or battery provides power, and wires connect all the components. Other symbols include capacitors that store energy, inductors that resist changes in current, and fuses that protect the circuit. Measurement tools like ammeters and voltmeters are also shown, along with components such as diodes, lamps, motors, and transistors. These symbols are like a universal language for electrical circuits, helping engineers and technicians communicate effectively. What are abbreviations? Abbreviations are a shortened form of a written word or phrase used in place of the whole word or phrase. In electrical and electronic circuits, they are used to represent various components and their functions. Here is a list of some of the common abbreviations. Normally, open or NO and normally closed or NC describe the default state of switches or relays when no external force is applied. Normally, closed push button and normally open push button indicate the state of push buttons, with normally closed push button being closed by default and normally open push button being open. Single pole. Single throw or SPST and double pole double throw or DPDT refer to types of switches based on the number of poles and throws. Light-emitting diode, or LED, represents a component that emits light when current flows through it. A digital multimeter, or DMM, is an essential tool for measuring voltage, current, resistance, and more. These abbreviations simplify communication and documentation in circuit design and troubleshooting. What is a switch? A switch is a control device that allows current to flow, thereby energizing a circuit or load. A simple switch is a single-pole, single-throw, abbreviated as SPST switch. A single-pole, single-throw refers to a basic switch type that has one input and one output, used for turning a circuit on or off. An example of a single-pole, single-throw switch is a standard switch used to turn a light on and off. In BEV manufacturing, single-pole, single-throw switches are used in simple control circuits, like turning auxiliary systems on or off. In 1884, John Henry Holmes invented the quick break technology, enabling lights to be turned on and off efficiently. The quick break technology introduced the concepts of normally open and normally closed, which are now standard terminology in the industry. In BEV manufacturing, normally open and normally closed switches are integral to safety and operational controls. A normally open switch is often used in charging systems, where the circuit is completed only when the charging connector is engaged. Normally, closed switches are used in fail-safe mechanisms, such as emergency stop buttons, ensuring the vehicle shuts down if the circuit is interrupted. Switches are designed for simple on-off operations to control circuits. They are available in various ratings to accommodate different types of voltage and current levels based on the application. Some of the most common types of switches are toggle switches, push-button switches, rocker switches, rotary switches, and dimmer switches. Toggle switches are operated by a lever that toggles between positions to open or close the circuit. Push-button switches are activated by pressing a button to control the flow of electricity. Rocker switches are switches with a rocking motion to open or close a circuit, often used in household appliances. Rotary switches rotate through multiple positions to select different circuits or settings. Dimmer switches are designed to adjust the brightness of lights by varying the electrical flow. Switches are essential components in BEV manufacturing as they enable control over power distribution and system operation. What is a normally open or no switch? A normally open switch is an electrical switch that prevents current from flowing when it is not energized. When a normally open switch is not activated, the contacts remain open and electricity does not flow. When the switch is activated, the contacts close, completing the circuit and allowing electricity to flow. A doorbell button is a common example of a normally open switch. The circuit is completed only when the button is pressed. Normally, open switches are widely used in various electrical and industrial applications. These switches are widely used in BEVs for safety mechanisms, such as activating circuits only during specific conditions, like closing a contactor to power the high-voltage system. What is a normally closed or NC switch? A normally closed switch is an electrical switch that allows current to flow when it is not energized. When a normally closed switch is not activated, the connected device or component remains on. When the switch is activated or turned on, the contacts open, interrupting the flow of electricity. A start-stop push button is an example of a normally closed switch. Normally, closed switches are one of the most common types of electrical switches. In BEV manufacturing, normally closed switches are commonly employed in emergency stop buttons to immediately disconnect power during a fault. Let us now look at the comparison between normally open and normally closed switches. A normally open switch is designed so that in its default state, when it is not energized or activated, the contacts remain open, preventing electricity from flowing through the circuit. For current to flow, the switch must be activated, completing the circuit and allowing electricity to pass. Normally, open switches are commonly used in applications where the circuit should remain off until intentionally activated, such as in doorbells or machine start buttons. In contrast, a normally closed switch is configured so that in its default state, the contacts are closed, enabling electricity to flow through the circuit. When the switch is activated or turned on, the contacts open, interrupting the current flow. Normally, closed switches are often used in applications requiring fail-safe operations to ensure safety, such as in emergency stop buttons or alarm systems. The primary differences between the two lie in their default states, the action required to allow current flow, and their common applications, with each type suited for specific operational needs in electrical and industrial systems. Let us look at our lesson summary on electrical symbols and abbreviations. Symbols are graphic representations of electrical components that simplify the reading of wiring, schematic, and line diagrams across BEV systems. Abbreviations such as normally open, abbreviated as NO, normally closed, abbreviated as NC, and single pole single throw, abbreviated as SPST, streamlined circuit design, documentation, and technician communication. Switches are control devices used to open or close circuits, with various types like toggle, push button, and dimmer switches supporting different applications and voltage current levels. Normally, open switches prevent current flow until activated, making them ideal for operations requiring deliberate engagement, such as BEV charging or start mechanisms. Normally, closed switches allow current flow by default and stop it when activated, serving critical roles in safety circuits like emergency stops and BEVs. Thank you.